This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. I didn't show this off yesterday, but I should have. That is the brand new coin, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame 2025 coin. They call them a challenge coin. And then on the back, whoa, that's upside down. You can see the class of 2025 there, Randy Hopper, Craig Lamb, and William Shakespeare Jr. I probably should try to collect all these. I'm not a coin guy, but like those kind of commemorative coins, those are freaking cool. We got a good show for today. It is technically, there is no off season in bass fishing anymore, but there is an off season. And I was getting ready for this show when the news broke. Actually, Dave Rush broke that news on Best on Tour this week, which went out yesterday. It's our little recap show where we talk about what happens in the industry for 5 to 7 minutes. I think that news had dropped approximately 3 minutes before Dave Rush announced it. But I got a little nostalgic getting ready for this show last night and this morning, because I used to remember like one of my jobs when I worked for Mark Jeffries at the Bass Zone was to do the quick flips section, which is ironic because I just had a conversation with Todd Seisner at the Hall of Fame, who does the Bass Fan. He's back doing stuff with Bass Fan, and I remember that news article, and it would be like between Bass Fan and Bass Zone, and then Wired to Fish would come in and drop some, and then Advanced Angler, and then Ricky had Bass East back in the day, and there was like a couple other websites, but it was all about who could get the latest little scoop on a new wrap or a new sponsor or a bait change or anything. I remember when Swindle was hopping around for a couple years before he kind of settled down again. Like it was all like to get the latest Swindle sponsorship was like a big thing. And then you'd call them, you'd say, "Can you send me a picture?" And they'd email you a JPEG, and then I'd be rushing in Word to get my 500 word quick flip out because I knew that Bass Fan was working on it at the same time. Like that was it, because that got the page views because whoever had it out. Anyway, I say that to say this. There's a major move in the motor world, and we're going to dive into that. I'm sidetracked already, but I saw a question that said, Finding Adventure said, "Good morning. My life has changed since Wheeler switched sponsors. Such big news." And it's ironic because we're going to dive exactly into why that is important, if that is important, and how that impacts the industry. Because as far as I know, a motor's never caught a fish, but it's an interesting topic. I've talked about it before on shows in the past years. I digress. The whole point of that story was it's like a 10-second. I couldn't find like a press release with like a photo of a grinning Jacob Wheeler with like the 500 words of why his new sponsor is the greatest new sponsor of all time and how he looks forward to working with them and how it's going to change the game, and talk about reliability and how, in what he does for a living, reliability is paramount to achieving what he has achieved, and now that's one less controllable variable he can control in a world of uncontrollable variables of professional bass fishing. That's how those press releases went. It was like social media, Facebook, Instagram, some news pops, they teased it a little bit, and then boom, Jacob Wheeler now with Suzuki Motors. So also in today's day and age, I can just like call up Jacob Wheeler and say, "Hey, I know you're not busy. Just jump on the show tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. So there you go. What's up, Jacob?
That's right, man. Not a whole lot. Lots been going on the last couple of weeks. So it's cool to have the news hit, and it's always great hopping on BTL.
What was your first like major sponsor that involved like a press release, a photo shoot, when you like woke up that morning and you were like, "Oh, the news is gonna hit that I'm with Fatheads now"? What was that? Was that the name of it? Weren't you? Wasn't that like a
Fatheads? The original Fatheads was the original. Yeah. So like Fatheads Eyewear was back in the day. Like that was really one of the first couple sponsors that I worked with, being there in Indiana. So yeah, I mean, I would say probably the most extensive launch was a combination between the Icon launch and then the Magellan launch last fall. We had like a 50 people here at the house, like a production crew going through everything, making sure everything's perfect. Like it was crazy.
Is that
like
how you got those lights that got the halo effect off of you? I told you
So,
it would work. It looks perfect.
Well,
like it looks like you're in studio lighting because you are in studio lighting.
I am. So I bought these lights because like I'm like we're shooting a lot of short form stuff, and so Nick and I am like always like trying to sort of up my game, and so I actually turned the lights off. It still had the halo effect. So
no, it looks like, good now.
It still had the halo effect, so
I see.
it did. So I cut it off and just ran that big light. So,
but the very first one, it had to have been 2010, 2011.
Yeah,
that was Fatheads.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
yeah. Like, ooh, I got a bit. Do you remember those when it was like, hey, you can't say anything about this till 8 a.m. Sunday? 100%. We've got Bass Owner, we've got Bass Fan that's going to be doing it. John Johnson, John Storm, Todd Site, one of those guys is going to call, or Jeffries or Pangrak. It's one of their sponsors. This is where it's going to go out, and then there's like a whole kind of media
14,
buzz
I would
around
say 14. It. I mean, obviously, when I hit the scene with the Fatheads, it wasn't like as much of a buzz. I was like, because I had been working with them during the All-American and all the way through. So it wasn't a huge deal, but then definitely like 14, 15, 16, Rayovac, working with several companies throughout my career. There was definitely, it was a hush hush deal. It was behind, when the company wanted it out, hey, it was going to be dropped to all these outlets. It was definitely something it's a little different now. It's definitely fun though.
I wasn't planning on spending a whole segment on Fatheads, but I did a quick Google search. Here it is from 2012, March 19th. Fatheads Eyewear, one of the everyone's leading eyewear makers, catering to men and women, has signed Indianapolis angler Jacob Wheeler for the 2021 season. Take a guess on what your quote was. What do you think your quote revolved around? Like if you were to just take a guess on the contents of it.
Just about the eyewear, giving me an advantage out there in the water, probably a combination of that.
Yeah, it's tough to spend a day on the water without a good pair of sunglasses, and it's almost foolish if you are a competing angler, said Wheeler. In this sport, you're constantly exposed to the sun, and sunglasses are essential for two reasons. One, to prevent UV protection and polarization.
It's actually not.
It's an easy decision. Factual. No, it is very. Did
you on a random note? I know we'll talk about the deal, but like random note, my wife got her eyes checked yesterday, and you can have freckles in your eyes. You can get freckles, like sun damage to your eyes.
I didn't know.
So like you can't see it, you can't visually see it, but when you get your eyes checked,
laser thing,
correct. So it's like when you don't wear sunglasses, it's a thing that ultimately, it's something that happens if you don't wear sunglasses enough.
Who are you rolling with now? Like 2025, 2026, what's the sunglass of choice?
I have several. I've worked with Wiley X for a long time. I've had several that I wear, but I'm not really currently locked into any deal right now. I just wear sort of whatever I want.
You should go with you should get on eBay and get an old pair of the Fletcher Shryock white fat rim block sunglasses that they sold at Walmart and just roll with those into the 2026 season.
I might just do that. Rock it on. Like, hey, let's make it happen.
All right. I say that to say this. You did make the announcement. You are with Suzuki. In the world of professional bass fishing, there are two main motor brands for the last 10 years. Once Evan Rude kind of came out of the picture, it's been either Yamaha or it's been Mercury. And then you started to see a couple of anglers, Rojas, Pipkins, Chad Perch, kind of make a push. And then you started to see Suzuki kind of really showing up with some of their media team and people who work for the company. They'd be on the dock in the morning of the takeoff for the Elite Series. And then it became a niche brand. And this is just me speaking. BTL, no affiliation with any motor company whatsoever. I've actually ran a Mercury and a Yamaha. Love my Merc now. Loved the Yamaha when I ran it back then. But similar to how I see Garmin when they first came in, and I think a lot of people were like, this is a saltwater brand that's trying to make a push into the freshwater market. You saw Ray Marine kind of try to do the same stuff with their chirp technology. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, there's three big electronic brands now. I see the same thing happening with Suzuki in the motor game, and I think this is their kind of we're here push to say we want to be one of the big three in the bass fishing 250 tournament scene. Am I way off base in my kind of thought process on how that all went down, Jacob?
No, I definitely agree with you, because when you look at Suzuki, I mean, obviously they've really took a lot of market share in the saltwater game. I mean, there's almost everybody. You just hear the reliability. I mean, you got these captains that are constantly putting thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours on their motors. And you look in the salt, and it's like, it's really Suzuki's a huge part of that. They own a lot of market share there. And so then, of course, also one thing you look at is dependability on like pontoons. And you look at where they're at in the pontoon world. They're a big motor for pontoons in the freshwater space. They probably, I mean, you see them nonstop. I mean, I see them as much as I see any other brand. So to see, like really starting off with the whole Suzuki thing for me was, I thought it was Adrian's run a Suzuki for as long, the last several years. Seeing that him running it, Suzuki hasn't had they don't have a service trailer on the road. So watching these guys take that leap of faith to say, hey, look, we're going to run this product with no service trailer out there. I was like, man, that's interesting, right? Like, they obviously are very confident in their product consistently working. But I stepped back and watched, and these guys were consistently, getting taken off and coming back, and it was very reliable. And I mean, I talked to Adrian about it several times. And then I got the opportunity to meet the people at Suzuki, and I think that was the biggest thing for me. Was like, in my career right now, you want to enjoy the time you get to spend with the people you work with, and you want to, number one, the product has to be up to quote and up to par for sure. And then second is most important thing is ultimately you really want to enjoy the people that you work with. And so when I got the opportunity to meet a lot of the people at Suzuki over the last couple of years, just met them through Adrian and walking in, so whether it was the Breadcrest event or it was Classic or whatever it might be, they were always super easy going.
So they had
and it
Dean
was
and Gerald Spohr and a number of different anglers out there. And
so for me, when you have 20 some anglers out there between the BPT and the Elite Series, they had something that I was like, man, they have something there. Like, I think that and then obviously you look at the new Stealth line, the motor that I have on this boat. It just looks badass. You know what I'm saying? It does. It looks good. So that was sort of the start of it all. And then to be able to sort of sit down and talk with them and work through their products and where are your shortcomings? Where is, what are you guys great at? And to have that open dialogue, to me, that was really that was huge for me, just from the outside looking in, to be able to have that opportunity to walk in and talk with everybody, understand the product a little bit, understand where their vision is, and really how to tap into the commitment to the bass fishing world. And I think that's sort of what they've done with obviously their pro staff. And I'm really excited, obviously to join that. I think that's something it's really a big push for sure.
In 2023, they announced kind of a partnership with Major League Fishing as the official outboard of Major League Fishing. They've jumped in as kind of some sponsorships of the Team Series as well. So I'm curious, take me as much as you can. I know you have NDAs and I know you have contracts. I've never done a motor show because motor shows there's not people that are like, my God, we're going to jump on to hear about the new. I mean, let's just be honest here. It's not like, hey, I've got a new bait that we're debuting here, but it's a very integral part of the industry. And I think there is a lot of positioning behind the scenes of the big motor companies of who's running what, because it's a biggest ticket item. I mean, you look at what a 250 horsepower motor runs. What is it like behind the scenes? How do you end up as a pro angler where everybody has a motor company, unless you're a Steve Kennedy, and I think he might even have one now, but everyone has that motor company on their chest. How does that, just in general broad terms, work as to how do you end up with who you end up with it, and kind of what the levels of motor sponsorship kind of are, not on a particular tour or a particular person, but just kind of globally in this space?
Yeah. So overall, like a lot of times when you start off as a rookie at a top level, whether you're fishing the BPT or the Elite Series, you're hoping to get an opportunity and a deal on a motor. You're trying to, so you're looking out and you're reaching out to several brands that whether you ran a Yamaha, a Mercury, a Suzuki, you're reaching out to those brands and just really trying to get your feelers out there to figure out what is the option. I mean, it's obviously a big ticket item. So anything helps at that point in time. So trying to get some sort of discount off, and then also figuring out who the people are who run the program and what they're requesting. What do they need from you? How can you make an impact? What is that? What do they really ask for? And I think a lot of that goes into it. So a lot of young anglers jump into this and try to figure out what the best brand is for them. I mean, a lot of times it's just whatever you've run. Some of it might be incentive programs. Some of it might be that, hey, there's more incentive because there's more opportunity here. If I win a tournament, I get X, Y, Z. And then a lot of it, sometimes it comes down to dependability and then resale value. So there's a lot of things that I think as a young angler, I think you're ultimately just trying to start off and work with a company that you want to work with. But as you look at more of the veteran anglers, it changes the game a little bit as you grow and you catch them better and you grow your brand. It changes because now you get a little bit more specific about what you're looking for. Why am I going to work with a company? What am I going to do? Who am I working with? What do I need to do? Do I believe in the product? All of those things really have to come into it, because in this day and age, more than anything, you don't want to go out and tell somebody something's the absolute best and this is the best next thing, because we've all heard it 100 times, and not truly believe that. That's the last thing anybody wants to do, and everybody's going to see right through that. So I think it's very important to be genuine and very transparent on a lot of that stuff. And I think that's where you're seeing you're seeing a lot more of that now in the sport overall than you have in the past. And I think that's why, it's like, you don't want to do just another announcement, right? It needs to be more than that. And I think that for me, this was way more than just another deal. This was hey, I'm a part of the family. Hey, I'm a part of something. So not to transition that, but that's sort of a general idea of understanding of where the motors work. And obviously, where do you have service at? Do you have people behind, there at your house? Do you have a dealer close by? Some of those things as well, make a big impact as well.
And I think a lot of people, just like I said, for in 30 seconds, it's a lot of guys, like, you have a boat company, you work with it, and you're like buying a hull at a discounted rate and a boat and stuff. So then you're working with your poles or Raptors, and you're working with the trolling motor and your electronics companies and whatever, and your motor on it too. So it's not just like, hey, I signed a deal with a bass boat and they go, here it is, ready to roll, go have fun. That's all part of it. Yeah. You mentioned it. So, what are your plans with Suzuki going forward? I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You're Jacob Wheeler. You're the number one angler in the world. You have the wins. You have the most exposure. You obviously have a game plan with this, and Suzuki is obviously investing a lot into their future in the bass fishing space with you. Kind of what can we look for? Are you going to be, building? Are there going to be like icons matched with Suzuki's the way we've seen kind of some of that done in the past? Like, what's the kind of vision and plan here for the next foreseeable future with Jacob Wheeler and Suzuki?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just the commitment to the space. I think that's the biggest thing you're seeing from Suzuki, right? They obviously have a dependable motor. They obviously have a brand that has shown what it can do day in and day out. I mean, you're seeing so many people trust those motors and putting thousands of hours on them. And so to me now, I think it's just more of that commitment. Like, hey, look, bass fishermen and bass anglers, when you select, you get a new icon or a new bass boat or you're repowering your boat, it's not only two options, there's three. And take a look at that, because customer service comes into that as well. The people behind the product come into that, a major part of that. And I think that's really, obviously, like, for me, there was a lot of personal things that I felt like I really a main reason why I was wanting to work with a company like Suzuki, sort of as I mentioned prior to this, but it's more of the commitment to the space and the sport, and like, hey, look, we're here to support bass fishermen as well. And I think that is the message that I feel like they want to get across. And I think that's sort of what I'm hearing from them. And that's sort of why I'm like, hey, yeah, that's awesome. Like I want to be a part of that. And I like the fact of Suzuki's very hungry. Like they're, as a company, they're very motivated. Which I'm very motivated, as you probably know, Matt. I try to, and so I love that. I love the fact that there's motivation. There's, hey, we're gonna change this game up. I mean, they sponsor a gate. Suzuki Marine sponsors a gate at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stadium, and there's a Suzuki Marine right there. Yeah. And so it's cool. Like they do some things that are a little bit different. Not necessarily directly in the industry of marine, and it's cool. They're always thinking outside the box, and I think that it's just a team I wanted to be a part of. So that's why there's another reason I think they're very hungry and they're excited to sort of for the challenge.
Are there any like differences or quirks or anything, like let's say you've ran a different motor for 10, 15 years and you make the switch? Like what are some things you notice about it, or is it kind of a seamless transition and you just it kind of change the brands? Talk me through kind of this. I mean, that besides it does look badass. Like I said, not a Suzuki with nothing, but I mean, it looks kind of badass behind you.
Yeah, I mean it's a great looking motor, but I mean I think we all talk about it, but it is dependability is everything in a motor. I mean it's just.
Do you have any idea how many times you crank during a season? Like how many times you start?
Listen, this is what's crazy about it. Okay, I don't know that, but I remember one tournament I was running brush, and in 7.5 hours I hit 57 places. Picked my trolling motor up and took off 57 times. So that was probably like on the higher end of a day. 57.
It had to be at Eufaula in Alabama.
No, it was not. It was not.
Okay.
It was not.
Didn't you have like a brush deal there where you were running brush?
I did, but I was. I did.
Wasn't Vina in that? Wasn't it a Vina in that one too? And you guys were running like madmen all over the lake, and you were throwing a big crankbait in it, and then a swim bait, and then you switched to a big giant freaking spinner bait. Or one of you guys, or someone was catching them on the big giant spinner bait in that MLF.
I caught them on a spinner bait. I caught them crank. So there were schools in that one. There were schools out offshore. There were schools out offshore, and then there was brush fish too. So
I just remember you would make like one or two casts and be like crack, and then you'd be like, okay, next. And then you'd like move. And then there's like a couple other guys and you were all like kind of playing Jenga in the same.
Yeah. That was the back in the day when you had 360 and we didn't really know what forward facing sounder would do. Like I remember catching my first.
Then
I had forward though, that tournament. And so I ended up winning that tournament, but I had forward, and a little backstory on that because I wanted to talk about that one. I remember like catching a fish in the top of a brush pile on a spinnerbait, come out, I saw the blob, and I come there and ate it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like 95% of the bass I caught that week, I'm just like, oh, I got 360 and I got forward. I think the brush pile's like over that way, and just casting over there and throwing a jig or crankbait and just feeling your way through it. So that was a learning experience. And then the final period of that tournament, I go and I idle in this school. I found like a school that had like 10 bass on it. I caught them cranking there, and I got behind Thrift. Thrift was catching them really good. And I idle over this group, and there was like 100 of them there. And the water clarity was like that. Like it was 2 inches of clarity. No joke, 2 inches. And I'm like, no way these bass are out there offshore like that and 2 inches of visibility. And I turn around, and I remember this so vividly. I was like, we're about to wreck them. And I pick up a DT14. And I throw it out there and I crank it down there and I'm hitting them. I make 3 casts. I don't get a bite. And I'm like, what in the heck? I know that's them. I pick up a spinnerbait and I throw it out there, and on the fall, one tags it. And I caught him there every single cast for like an hour. That was they wouldn't bite a crankbait. The water was so dirty. It was like that big giant pulse. It was crazy.
Very cool. So now, do you have like 3 Suzuki sitting in your loft and storage up there? I remember back in the day, the big time guys would get a semi truck that would pull up, and they would be like, here are your 3 motors. And then they would have to find a third party guy to sell the other 2 motors through at the end of the year. Remember that dog and pony show? Everyone used to have to, but just the top guys.
I know. I don't have that. No, I don't. I have, but I think that, No, I'll tell you a story. I've about probably 14 hours on this boat. Actually, I have 14 hours on this motor so far, and so I was down there practicing for that Ultimate Angler tournament and running through grass and stuff, and I was just really, a lot of it's like learning little nuances between products, right? Like running through mats and being like, am I going to overheat or am I not, right? And this motor, just like that low end torque and running through those grass areas and not getting clogged up and constantly having water pressure, it was really impressive. I was like, okay, then, like it was cool because I put it through some. I got some GoPro footage of some stuff I ran. I don't know if
Ultimate Angler thing start in like 15 hours or something, Jacob.
It starts. I think practice starts weird, like registration's Sunday, and then they have a off day before you practice, and then
so
Tuesday,
it's this Sunday.
This Sunday is registration, and then practice is Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay, I got you. And then it's half a mil, no forward facing sonar, and then you've got literally like weekend guys who like did well in like an ABA that qualified and were signed up, and then you've got like the who's who in every single level from the BPT to the Elite Series to the Opens to the Toyotas to the best. I mean, like literally every single. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I hope it goes off well. I hope the state gets what they want out of it. I know that there's a unique funding structure of it, and to have an event like that, I'm not going to say it's like the TTBC, but a high payout event at the end of the year with no pressure or stress on points that brings together anglers from all of the different leagues, I think is healthy for the industry. And this has the potential to be that.
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I'm excited to sort of see how it goes. I think, off the rip, I don't think there's any live coverage. So that sort of stinks from that perspective, but maybe that'd be something that they could add.
I'm fine with that the first year. Start slow. Don't promise the moon.
Yeah.
Get it going. Get the anglers to know what it is, to understand it, and then slowly work into that. All right. Well, congratulations on the motor deal. There's also a lot more congratulations to get on, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about another recent victory. And I've had, it's cool when guys do well with their buddies in these team series, like Ott and Andy and things like that. And then obviously, we know you're buddies with MDJ. You guys go back, so it's cool to see. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I also like to see like Kelly Jordan and Keith Poche in a boat. That's fun. That's like awesome in a different way. But like, there's or like the father-son thing of like Al and Al Jr. Like I like the different dynamics of it.
It's very entertaining.
I'm not gonna lie. Like if I would probably like to watch Kelly and Poche go at it again, especially if there's rough fish in the lake. The best moment in team, I'm way off base here. We're gonna break, like I said, bring MDJ in, is when Kelly brought Poche. They were down one fish in that tournament. He brought Poche back to where he had missed a big one. And then while they're fishing the big one, Kelly goes, you know what? I think that might have been a pike. And Poche's like, what do you mean? And they got like 7 minutes. And he's like, that fish that we're fishing for, now that you think about it, definitely a pike. And Poche's like, you're shitting me, right? And he's like, no, that was a pike for sure. And Poche's like, why the hell are we here then? And he's like, might not have been, but I think it was a pike. And then literally they had to like cut to commercial. So anyway, we'll be back. Team Series, two guys won the biggest trophies in the history of the sport. The Heritage Cup up in Wisconsin.
It just looked big, Matt. It just looked really big.
No, I got like dude, that thing is giant. That's like
no, it's not. I have 4 of those. I have 4, like 3 or 4 of those.
That's
like those exact trophies.
Subtle flex. Trust me, I know how big they are. I win them every 6 months.
I didn't mean it by that.
Well,
but I'm like,
we'll ask MDJ how big the trophy is. I think
okay.
We'll ask MDJ. He's got a better feel for it. It's BTL. What is the day of the week today? Wednesday. I didn't do a show yesterday. I'm leaving. My truck's in the shop. I've got to drive a Daewoo Lanos up to Minnesota tomorrow with 18 fishing rods, and it's going to be a deal. All right, we'll be back, BTL, after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, This hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
At Beatdown Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made-in-the-USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Wednesday, chatting with Jacob Wheeler about his move to Suzuki. I think it's big because you don't see guys move around motor companies a lot, and not move around, but you don't see guys sign with new motor companies. I mean, obviously the biggest thing happened when Evinrude kind of went away. You saw a lot of reshuffling, but it's kind of one of those things where it's maybe a 1 or 2 times during a career. So, I mean, I fully expect to see you, in a Suzuki until either this whole professional fishing thing implodes and we're all just making YouTube videos, or we get our act together in 30 years and you're still rocking and rolling. So
no, I definitely feel that. I mean, you look at like Rapple. I've been with Rapple from the start of my career. You don't jump around.
When are the 6-inch freeloaders going to be like available to like purchase, use, buy, shake, twitch? Like when's the common man going to be able to get his hands on some of those?
November.
Okay. Well, it's a year too late, but I'll accept it.
Hey, we'll catch him on it. I caught some on it a lot. I only have like 2 packs left.
I highly doubt that. All right, let's bring it in. MDJ, how big is the Heritage Cup trophy? Is it really normal sized, or is he not selling it up for everything it is?
I think Jacob just has too many of them, like you're hitting at, and so he's just kind of used to the size. I mean, it's pretty significant.
Look at that thing.
Me. Yeah, they're pretty big. They're not that heavy though. They look a lot heavier than they are, but they are big.
I got you. Yeah, that's why Jacob has vaulted ceilings in his trophy room, because he knows he has to stack them. And once they get over that 3.5, 4 foot tall height, I mean, that is what we call a first world problem, MDJ.
Facts, bro. Facts.
All right, thanks for jumping on BTL. Greatly appreciate it. It was kind of last minute. Like I said, I had Jacob on, and then I love having the team series guys on. I had Ott seems to do really well in the team series for some reason. It doesn't matter what he is. I had him and Drew Gill on, and then him and Montgomery. I've had the Joneses on before, but there's something cool about interviewing 2 guys who had that moment in the boat. And I think it's because everyone who's listening to this, myself, it doesn't matter what level it has. Like, I think a lot of your best fishing stories take place with your buddy in the boat. MDJ, true or false?
Oh, it's 100%. And not only that, I mean, all of us bass heads that are hardcore tournament guys, we all got started fishing team tournaments. I mean, that's just what it's always been. So there's that comfort, there's that nostalgia. And then, of course, when you're fishing team, you're always with either a family member, somebody's really close, or a really close buddy. And so the team series just kind of amplifies that with the professionals, man. And I feel like it's super relatable, and everybody can rock with it.
All right. So you drafted MDJ for this cup. Is that right, Wheeler?
Yeah. So MDJ was like a captain. So technically, you could draft the captain, but he was a captain, but I drafted him and he accepted. So you basically have like yes, I did, but he was a captain though.
He got a call, which is why his video went away.
Okay.
So I'm going to kick him out because unless he comes back in 2 seconds, he's not going to have audio when he comes back in, and then I'm going to text him. So talk a little bit about that format with the team series, because it's kind of like 4 individual tournaments throughout the year. Yeah.
The team series for me is like it's awesome because you have the opportunity to fish with your friend or your buddy in the same boat, or a guy's like, what up, MDJ? There you go.
And I'm back.
Yeah, you got a text. I forgot to tell you to put it in do not disturb.
Yeah.
So the only thing is it's a really cool event that gives you that opportunity to jump in the boat. And it's like the old cup format. You're going to these bodies of water. You don't know where you're at. We were, Minocqua, Wisconsin, which I've never even heard of Minocqua, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to these bodies of water and you put your tackle in your boat and you just go, and they drop you in and they say, go catch them. So it makes it so much fun. I remember they had brought that to the board and they're like, hey, do you think we should disclose the information on the lakes and all this stuff? And you can research. I'm like, no, it's so much fun to be able to go and be like as many lakes that we fish that we go back to year after year. It's so awesome to go to a body of water you've never seen. You don't know where you're going. They might drop you in a river. They might drop you in a lake. It might be smallmouth, might be largemouth. And I think that's what's so cool about what's so cool about these events, as well as being able to fish with your good buddies.
So you are, according to Bass Fan World Rankings, you're a top 40 angler in the world, MDJ. You're number 40th in the world. So the majority, well, there's only 39 other guys you can get in the boat with, where I'm assuming, have the ability to be like, yeah, no, I'm going to call a couple shots. You happen to be fishing with Wheeler. So how did you guys determine, like I said, the Kelly Jordan Keith Poche thing? Well, I'm absolutely, I saw you down there laughing at it. Like, dude, that is the stuff of legends.
Yeah.
How did you just, what, am I wrong on that? Am I making too big of a deal on that? Or is that the most vintage? I mean, it's like so on brand for both of those guys too. Like
the FIBRA and Dudley were a good one too.
No, they were good too. That was when Dudley was trying to get, did you guys follow the one where Dudley was trying to get Lefebvre to put down the jig? And
that's what I'm talking
Dudley
about.
was doing the wacky, and Lefebvre's like, Lefebvre basically was like, yeah, for the next 6 hours, I really don't care what you say. Like, I'm going to throw one bait and this jig right here. And Dudley's like, yeah, but look at this wacky worm, switch to it. And he's like, I'm throwing a wacky worm. It just has a 3/8 ounce weight on it and a skirt. And then he catches one, and you can almost see Dudley didn't know whether to, like, Lefebvre's like, yeah, there's a jig fish right there. It's that was the greatest thing ever. And then when Dudley got that fish tied up in the docks, and then he broke them off, and then you had like him on the verge of a meltdown, and then like Lefebvre, who would not be a very good hostage negotiator at all. Oh yeah, you're right, absolutely.
No, that was Matt.
Yeah, how did you guys work on the team dynamic, MDJ? Because I've been in the boat with Wheeler. The man is used to calling the shots 100% of the time and having his boat where he wants it, when he wants it, and people doing what he's telling them to do. That doesn't work in this game.
No, well, see, it's funny, and then of course, me knowing Jacob's so good, right? In order for this team to work, there has to be balance. And when it came to like running the boat, decision making, driving, I know how Jacob's mind is wired. So I totally let him take the lead on that. With that being said, I mean, if I thought we should do something, or if I, saw something where let's pull out a little bit, or let's go shallower, or like whatever the little smaller case may be, I went ahead. Of course, we did that, but I let J-Dub take the lead on that. And I mean, my man ain't the number one ranked angler in the world for nothing, right? So it's not a bad choice to let my guy run the show. And I was just, one hell of a wingman.
Now, didn't you guys make a big adjustment on the final day to pull this thing out?
100% we did. Go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Come on, I want to hear it.
Well, the first 2 days of qualifying, we caught almost exclusively largemouth, super shallow fish and bow dogs, right? Which was super fun. But then when we got to this last lake, I think it was called Tomahawk Lake, super clear water, but it did have a lot of docks in it, and it did have a lot of grass. So we were kind of torn as to what we wanted to do, but we took off, and Jacob, of course, doing his deal. We ran around that whole lake, and we marked a bunch of stuff too that had potential for smallmouth. And so after fishing for like an hour, a largemouth, and not even catching, I think maybe 1 or 2 scorables, maybe. Yeah. And we're down like, I don't know, 15, 17 pounds or something, Jacob, something crazy.
I think we were down like 12 pounds at that point in time. Yeah. It was so tough because you knew like, but you also have score trackers. So you knew like Andy and Ott, they're going to be largemouthing. You know, you look at the people in the field, you think, all right, Clausen, those guys, you know, Clausen and Carson, they were going to be largemouthing more than likely. And then, you know, you Drew and Marshall, you knew they were going to be trying to focus on.
They would just be drifting across the damn middle, hoping to see one on. That's
sort of what I anticipated. Guys. Yeah, they got their dang scope on, you know. So no, you're knowing that as well, but then you're like, you can't let because the docks were such a dominant way to catch them in this event in the qualifying and the knockout round. They had that one day. I was able to go back and watch some of it recently. That they had 100 pounds, like everybody had 100 pounds. They all caught them off boat docks on the lake that we ended up winning our round on the knockout round. We ended up catching like 80 on the same boat docks. And they already blasted them on those boat docks the day before. So that ended up being like, so in your mind, you're like, you can't get behind in a rotation of boat docks because if that's the main deal, you could not. Now you're trying to run and you're fishing used water and you don't know who's fished what and what everything else. So the first 30 minutes, you're like, you got to go to it. And then, I mean, Mark had to caught one in some milfoil and then he caught one like off the edge of some dock and off the edge of a dock and he set the hook and he lost it. And I was like, it was just weird. It wasn't the deal. So we were like, we made the decision to go smallmouth and we're already behind on arguably, like, in my opinion, the best scoper in the country, in my personal opinion, Drew Gill.
He is. I'll say it. Drew Gill's number one.
There's no doubt. He's
look at his streak of top tens that he started out with. This guy's closed on it. He is it.
He is the man. And so to me, I'm like, we got a pretty big hill to climb, being down 15 pounds with no practice, to go out there and come back and sort of compete and come back utilizing forward and going out there and fish for smallmouth. But we were able to sort of get together and we started making some ground back up pretty quickly.
All right. A couple things that I noticed here that I want to bring up. I'm going to pull this photo up. All right. There's only 50 of you guys out there next year. It's very intense, but then anticlimactic because you have a dude here who, when you win a regular season BPT event, is like, is it official? Is it final? Who didn't catch one? Who got it? And then he gets the official and he immediately goes into the, I don't know what to do with my hands mode. Why are you guys laughing at me all show?
Because it's so real, bro. Yeah, it's so real.
So listen, you got 50 boats out there next year. You guys know who are in it. This needs to be at every single MLF where you guys wrap, whatever, donate one of your 7 icons, put a Suzuki on the back of it, and have the official trophy boat, and have that trophy lurking around where the top guys are. And you might not get it right every single day, but you know, if you got guys in different parts of it. But I love the trophy in the boat ceremony where you win, the boat pulls up. Look at that. I counted. There's 17 carpet graphics on that trophy boat right there. Sell that. Whatever, do a all meat boat, have 9 competing brands of beef jerky on there. I don't care, but do the freaking trophy boat. And if possible, have that trophy on I love that element of it.
That was cool. Yeah. That was really cool. That was really cool. It's not, that was cool to be able to hoist that trophy off the rip. It definitely has a cool vibe to it. It definitely does because
I've had Wheeler on like 3 times this year, FDJ. So I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Rapidly changing world of professional bass fishing right now.
Yeah.
3 viable leagues, all doing their own thing. Major props to the MPFL for me, including that in those 3 viable leagues. Interesting. 13 out of the top 14 anglers in their angler of the year were current Elite Series pros. It'll be interesting, you know, that dynamic moves more moving forward as they continue to find their position and their personality in this game.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think MLF has done an incredible job on is taking the team series, capitalizing on it, and then growing on it based on fan feedback and angler feedback from a made for TV event with no live coverage to live coverage to this. The PBR, which there's a big relationship between what's going on at MLF and PBR that goes back 25, 30 years. It's very interesting. they went to a big team series event this year where they still have individual standings, but I got a team in Oklahoma City here. There's a team down in Dallas. There's a team in Kansas City. There's a team out in the Carolinas where you are. I think they're pretty dominant. You're in Alabama. There's a team out
Alabama,
there's a team out in the Carolinas. There's a team in Alabama. There's Birmingham. Took a long time for the bull riders, and they're still doing it. I've taken a deep dive into this to say, dude, I ride a damn bull. I'm not on a team. I want my 8 seconds. I don't care what the young Brazilian phenom next to me does. I want mine.
Right.
But you're starting to see this. What are your thoughts? And have you thought about what if this thing is, you have your individual, you have the BPT, you have your single tournaments, but then like you and Jacob are a team for the year and you're fishing for the 100,000 and you have the wrapped team boat and you're putting your own money into it. And it's 50-50 to where you maybe have 4 to 6 individual events, but you also have a team series. Now we're not talking in the fall on Wisconsin, but a damn team series on Gunnersville in February, a team series with spawning fish and stuff. Are you willing for a big majority of your career then to be associated with the team event and how you feed your family to come down to team events and not strictly the MDJ brand individually?
Yeah, man, that's a hell of a question, Matt. But to answer it, I mean, I can see it. I mean, even like Formula One, right? Similar scenario. I could see that becoming a thing. And what's going to make that become a thing is I can see the fans obviously getting behind that in a major way, but then also some of these really big non-endemic sponsors, right? To where it's like, all right, Jacob and Mark, I'm just throwing these numbers out. Here's 500,000, right? For you two to split, or you 3 or 4 guys to split. However, you guys are now the Wheaties team, right? And you're going to fish 10 tournaments, a season, I could really see that being a thing and taking off. Because once again, people love the team aspect of fishing because that's how they started a lot of times. And then also not only that, it allows the different personalities amongst the team to pull from different demographics of fan base. And so now you have this, a massive group of people behind whatever team that is, right? And then it becomes more like the sports we commonly know, the baseball, the football, etc. And so I think there is some extreme value in that.
It's all about impressions in this game. It doesn't matter whether it's been website, TV, magazine, people still want impressions. I could imagine the impressions you could go with a non-endemic based on what you said to say, hey, I get this many million impressions. He gets this many million together. To me, that seems like such an easier sell. And then also you can have the parts of the team. Now, here's the other part. And Jacob, I want to get your take on this. You have teams that stay together. I think it's weird that you have some guys that like fish with each other in one event and then they're competing against each other in the next cup. I want dream teams. I want dynasties. I want to see what Defoe and Montgomery could do. I want to see what MDJ and Jacob Wheeler could do. So let's say you get this thing and you get 25 teams, which is 50 guys for 25 teams. The top 20 at the end of that year in your point series, you're safe. You can stay as a part of that team. You can build that dynasty. You can do it for the year. Those bottom 5 teams, they shuffle. And that's how you bring the new anglers in and the new anglers out. So as long as you're performing, as long as you're doing it, you get to stay as a team. But man, there's a chance you guys get split up. And how that is done or not, but I just have it kind of in my head that that's how you bring the new guys in and the new guys out. There's going to be some sort of shuffling that goes on there, but I think congruency with teams throughout years. Like I want to be a fan of the team, which is both guys.
Right. Yeah.
No, I definitely think that's something that like MLF is missing right now. I do think they're missing on that is like, hey, but the problem is like, again, you look at Andy and Odd, those guys are constantly catching them, and they won together. I mean, Drew and Marshall almost won again. So, they've already won. So there's never been a moment where both guys have, there's a team that's won 2 of these team series events, and we only get to fish 2 out of 4. So it would be tough to do that necessarily, but I do think maybe like, hey, if you win it, you maybe like the top 4 winners, they get the bid of getting their same guy for the next team series a year, calendar year, as long as they're, a BPT angler. And the other thing you have is sort of a little bit tough because guys might not be fishing, the guys might not be, they might get kicked out. Like this year we had a big number of guys that got dropped down. And so they might not be in the BPT. So figuring that out as well, it's sort of a little bit difficult, but I think it's something to work towards is keeping it consistent because the guys that seem to work together, and even boat officials that were, in our boats with Mark and I, he's like, look, the guys who are the best work together the best, and you guys work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Andy and Ott work phenomenally well together. Like I catch one and I would catch one, and then Mark would go do something. He jumped the front. I jumped
doubling up right there.
That was the name dock fishing. And it's awesome. I mean, that kind of stuff is it's awesome. And making adjustments and saying, hey, look, I think they're doing this and I think they're doing that. And two minds are better than one, and sort of dialing that in. But I do think there's room for this sport to have locked in teams, and working with that, I think there's an opportunity. I think they're on to something with the team series. It's just, tweaking that a little bit. I mean, you've seen that with our format. It took several years to dial in the BPT and sort of lock into what we're doing now. We went with 1 pound minimum to start, and you're adjusting to variable minimums depending on the lake. And there's all these things we're transitioning some things. I think within a couple of years, it could definitely happen. And you see that with some of the higher, I think there's a big payout team event, happening trail that's happening in Florida.
Yeah.
You have some things. I think guys want to do that. This, to be honest with you, straight up, fishing by yourself in a professional tournament is stressful and it's very demanding. Fishing in a team event is fun. It is just enjoyable. It's not all on you. And if you're not feeling it that day, and guess what, you're losing them all, your buddy's got your back, and he's jumping in the front, and he's going, and Mark's going to go catch him. So it's not all on you. You don't have the stress levels aren't as high. And obviously, it's not the way we're feeding our families either. But I mean, the other side of it is it makes it like, I mean, everybody fishes with their friend, whether they're fishing a tournament or they're, that's just how it is. So, or they're.
But I want to see you fishing with your friend, having that fun, but then add the stress element in, because when MDJ hooks that largemouth under the dock, you're not like, you need help, bro, and then you catch a 14-incher. You're going, my God, it's $100,000 fish. My God, it's going to the team championship round, and now you are down there just thrashing around like a BFL co-angler trying to net your fish because you're nervous that he's got it hooked up. Like, that's the additional element that takes it to the pro. Now, here's the next question. If you guys have to go. I think about a lot of weird stuff. Do you guys like that team series I need to get you on the show more, MDJ. I go on a lot of rants here. Jacob, this is normal.
Matt normally asks more questions than he speaks, so I'm gonna say he does like he's passionate about this. I'm appreciative of it. So, do you like the quote unquote off season, October, November, December, January for a team series, or are you like, man, I'd rather be home with my family during that off season, because the team series with only 4 boats on the water at a time with a 50 boat field, I think would be real easy package to work into a Chamber of Commerce deal, because what body of water do you go to that doesn't have a 2,500 acre hammer hole within 30 minutes of it that you can put 4 boats on, or 3 or 4 or 100? I mean, there's not a state, until you get out into like probably Nebraska where you can't drive an hour and find, and with 4 boats, you can put it on a number and switch them. So would you rather see it kind of piggybacked where you've got the team series and the BPT going on, to where you fish the BPT, then you make the change, you fish the team series. If you get knocked out, you're only there an extra day or two instead of, having to block out this whole week thing? Or do you like it more in the off season as a standalone thing, not in coordination with the BPT? That's an MDJ question.
Okay. All right. I got you. So for me personally, I like it during the off season, and for a couple of reasons. Obviously, when we're competing during the BPT, we can stay locked in and focused on what's going on, the next event, next couple events. It allows me a little free time where I can go pre-practice and scout other bodies of water, which is important. And then the other thing for me is I like fishing during the fall, and we don't get to compete during the fall. The fall's a much tougher time, especially in the Southeast. And I just like those grinder style events. And so, having the team series in the fall, you get a chance to jump in some of those more, tight races, grindier events.
I like it. You good? You getting a? Is that your
the wife,
new motor showing up?
There. The wife's over there looking at me sideways. 2 minutes back.
You got to go. You can roll. Like I said, this was literally last second.
I got 3 minutes.
I will. I want Mark to walk through this before he has to go because it was the coolest part of the event. So I'm gonna sort of tee this up because late in the tournament, fishing against, championship round, Mark and I are running in water. We're fishing here, we're fishing there. We're running back through the same water, and we're down by 10 pounds to Drew and Marshall. We're down by 10 pounds with 45 minutes to go. Okay, 45 minutes to go. So setting this all up, I look at Mark. I'm like, man, I think we should go run back here. And Mark's like, man, we just need to keep running new water. He looked at me, he's like, dude, we need to keep running new water. We need to keep running new water. And so, Mark, walk us through the last 45 minutes of that comeback because it was one of the most exciting moments for me on the water, and I've been through a lot of it. So, like, I don't want Mark to bring it through because it was insane.
It was, man. It was dope, and this is why the team series is so cool. And like I told you, working hand in hand with somebody. So I'm telling Jacob this, and at that moment, he had the thought of like, dude, let's go run back, to where we caught a couple. Because obviously we saw some more fish there, blah, blah, blah. But these fish were getting weird, man. It was like when you come through an area, you catch one or two, they would get weird. You see another one, you throw at it, and he'd go down to it, he wouldn't bite. It was like they kind of just knew what was up. It was odd. And so in my mind, I'm like, dude, we really need to get pushing the envelope to get on some fresh fish that haven't seen our baits yet. Likelihood of catching them is going to be a lot better. We kind of had the pattern just a little bit dialed in, but not greatly, right? So we were catching them in like, I'd say from like 10 to like 20 off these breaks on subtle points and more aggressive points. So like you said, we're down 10 pounds. We got 45 minutes to go, man. We make a move, and on some new water, we end up running some new stuff. And first spot, man, Jacob drops the trolling motor, immediately sees one, he pitches out there, boom, he hooks up. I think he's fighting that fish, and then right behind that, I hop up there, I see one. I pitch out there and I miss him. And I'm like, crap, I'm so pissed because we're down 10 pounds. We losing time. I'm like, come on. And I'm sitting there complaining with my hands up like, God dang, right? Probably saying some choice words. And I go to reel it in to go make another cast, and that sucker's on there, right? So, smallmouth, a lot of times, if they miss your bait, they'll follow it.
Yeah.
And he ended up following. I caught that sucker, and I was like, hell yeah. And I felt like that was like the changing moment when I saw the glimmer of light, like, oh, we
The
can
momentum
get this, right?
changed.
The momentum shift right then. I'm like,
yeah,
we can get it. So we kept on running new water. We make a move. Time's ticking, man. We down like probably 20 minutes now, and we're down like I don't know, 7 pounds maybe, something like that. And we make a move. 20 minutes to go. New spot. Jacob pulls up again. 2 minutes. He pitches out there. Boom. He hooks one, and I'm like, hell yeah. He catches it. It's like 1.5 pounds. So now we're like, it's like 10 minutes, and we're like 4 pounds down. 10 minutes. So Jacob's up there scoping, of course. So what I've been doing, I just kind of been blind flipping. There's a lot of scattered grass on this lake too. So I'm kind of like blind pitching a drop shot and then holes in the grass, kind of dragging it out on the edge and, whatever. I'm catching a couple doing that. And so, boom, I pitch out there and I catch a 1-9 smallmouth. And Jacob, we're like, hell yeah. Now we're like, dude, we're like 2 pounds, bro. So I'm like, hell yeah, this is it. But we got like 7 minutes. So time's ticking. I'm still fishing. Jacob's up there scoping. He's looking. He's pitching out a few. Dude, out of nowhere, we pull up on this little nub, and I'm pitching in this grass. I can't see nothing. Jacob's in the front scoping. I'm just fishing at this point. And it's like 5 minutes to go. We down 2 pounds. Boom, I catch like a 110 largemouth. And we ain't been catching no largemouth. I caught a 110 largemouth. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm literally talking to the camera, telling them how we just been bouncing around, fishing these edges, catching smallmouth, blah, blah, blah. And
I'm yelling at Mark, man. Mark, stop talking to the camera. I'm like, stop talking to the camera. I'm like, bro, make a cast. We got this is prime. This is the last cast of the game.
Facts, bro. So Jacob's yelling at me. I'm pitching out there. I catch the largemouth. I bowed him up. I'll put him on the scale. He's like a 1 something. He's not a 1. He's like a 1.4. Well, anyways, we take the lead with that fish, I believe. Or did I catch another one? Either I caught that one or another one.
I think
that is it. Yeah.
That looks like a
take the lead
1-4
right there. That's a 1-4. We take the lead by like 3 ounces with this fish, right? All right. As soon as I take that sucker off the scales, boat official's like, "Oh, Drew just caught another one." I'm like, "No, bro." He's like, "He just caught another one. Now you down like one scoreable fish with like 2 minutes to go." And I kid you not, and this is why Jacob is who he is too. So I had these 2 bites within like 2 casts, right? And I'm kind of geeked up on the fact that we just took the lead. I hadn't really been paying attention to what's going on. Jacob is like, dude, there's probably a small group of them right there. He spins the boat around on a dime right there. And he's like, "Hey, we need to throw right back in that patch." Dude, and I throw right back in there. Now he ain't scoping either. We're both pitching in there. And I throw right back in there and I catch another like a 1 even and a 1-1. And I ain't never in my life been so happy to catch 2 1-pounders. Let me tell you. Then right
you haven't
then,
fished
bro.
the Red River much, have you?
Oh, I've been there. And I was happy to catch them around. So I was
fished the Ohio River much.
Oh yeah, I've been to Ohio too. They both suck. 1-pounders are gold. But listen, in Minocqua, Wisconsin, for the big man size trophy. Oh yeah, I was stoked, man. It was good, man, and that's how
that
it
was
is,
a hell
bro.
of a story. All right, I'll let you go. I'm gonna keep Jacob because
Y'all boys take care, man. I gotta
Appreciate
take
you,
my wife's
MDJ.
All
car to
right,
the
see you,
oil change.
MDJ. Appreciate it.
Y'all boys be good. Yeah, man. See you.
All right, see you. MDJ, that's good stories. So you fish the Ned, the BLT, whatever you want to call it. You thread a Ned onto your drop shot more than anyone else in the game. Was it hard to convince MDJ to do that? You guys were both doing that on your drop shot. Like me, I'd be like, I don't know about, but I mean that's a unique thing. That you do.
But it's also like a very efficient way to fish, right? Like, so efficiency aspect when you have like not much time. So those team series events are 6 hours. So we already wasted an hour fishing for largemouth and didn't catch them. So now you have 5 hours. So like if you're throwing a regular plastic on a drop shot, like you're getting another one out, like where you're using TPE, it's a lot easier to hook that stuff on, thread it on, boom, put it on like a size 2 finesse Nico hook, cast it out there, boom, catch one, and then sort of adjust it, make another cast. So it's sometimes like it's about efficiency as well with like every fish counts format that you have to be on it. Like every cast is really important. And so MDJ's been throwing that like I would say like I was the one who really started really using it the most amongst our group. And then, but like Dustin's won tournaments doing it. Mark's won tournament, had really good finishes doing that. But that was always my favorite, one of my favorite ways. It's just small. It's a small profile that just gets bites.
Am I off base on the team series here? Am I overhyping it?
You're not.
Like, listen, I've been very critical of the BPT in the past and MLF and some of the stuff that they've done. But I feel like I've been equally as when they do badass stuff, just like it is with Bassmaster, just like it is with the NPFL. What am I missing here? That this isn't like, oh my gosh, we need to like go all in on this.
Well, I think is
it logistics?
Well, in their sport, in our sport, right, it's taking a big leap of faith, right? Mm-hmm. So in our sport where it's individually based for the most part, it's hard for, I'm assuming it would be very hard for an organization to jump out there and be like, hey, we're going to change this up big time. And MLF has changed a lot up over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. So we've actually sort of gotten our own little groove. So change sometimes is, we probably get beat up. They probably get beat up the most from change. So then if you change something again constantly, it's like, what message are you sending? So I think that's probably, they're like, I don't know if they want to necessarily make a whole bunch of changes because things have been good. Obviously the change from, just one period of forward-facing sonar was a huge deal this year. I think the production, you can't, it's hard to find a negative comment about MLF anywhere from the production standpoint and from the competition side of it. So I think you're right, though. I personally believe there's a lot of opportunity and potential in the team series, and I think it's not dialed in perfectly to where it's truly at its full potential. I think it's really, it's glimpses of it. We're seeing some really cool moments, but it's also, I think you look at it from the standpoint of bigger investment, like 4 boats in the water, and you need to have 8 boats in the water where you have 8 cameras, which costs money, and you have more, more guys out there competing against each other, where you're having more fish catches and more dialogue and more things happening. So there's things that need to happen, but I think it just takes time.
You know, I want to look up the PBR Team Series for all of our listeners and stuff. It kind of happened in 2021, 2022, around that time frame. There's some, like I said, there's some documentaries. There's a lot of pushback from the riders. I'm not claiming that I know everything about it. I'm literally a fan. Like 99.99% of the people who are watching professional bass fishing, which I love because I can relate to that. I can say I don't know any of the inside stuff. I don't know what's going on. I'm just looking at it visually. For me, does this hold my attention? Is this something that I watch?
Yeah,
and I do.
I mean, I think you also get what you get from a Team Series perspective is you don't get as much stage conversation. You get this very like you're literally a bump on a wall. You basically have a camera back there, and we're just talking constantly to each other. So it's not staged. It's not like, hey, we're live, let's talk about this. It's like, Mark, they're doing this, we need to do that. And you're hearing those conversations where I'm still processing that information in my mind when I'm out there on the water, but I'm not always speaking what I'm thinking in my mind, like how I'm sort of. So it gives the viewer so much more of like what's happening, or you can tell like one guy's frustrated and the other's not, or, there's just so much, there's a lot more there, I think, and it's very relatable.
I really like the forward-facing sonar with the Team Series because that's something that I think a lot of guys struggle with. But what for me it does is it shows the different approaches to get to the same goal. And it shows that in a lot of scenarios, not all, but a lot of scenarios, the sea cast catch does not work. You have to see the different tricks. So when you've got Robinson and Gill in a boat, you're seeing how Gill's trying to catch the fish, and then when he can't, you're seeing how Robinson's trying it. You're seeing where their casts are, how they're working their bait, how they're moving it, how they're positioning it, how it's a 1-2 punch. And I think that it goes to really solidify the fact that it is not a cast sea catch in many instances. I just really like that element. And it's also, you've seen it where guys panic, and I've done it in team tournaments where you get selfish and you're like, watch the show, buddy, to the guy behind you. And now you've got an unproductive guy in the boat, which doesn't work in a team series. You need 2 productive anglers in the boat at the same time. So keeping that the small unit fixed up there for the forward facing, I think is awesome.
Yeah, I do. I think they have the right, and it's hard. It's hard to get on. I think practice helps with forward-facing sonar if you're able to utilize forward and practice a lot. Like, the Team Series sets up really well in the fall to guys that are going to go out there and just fish traditionally and fish, a certain way, fish shallow. Like the shallow water cover, there's a dock, there's a laydown, there's this, there's that. You're so much more able to be efficient fishing visual cover than you are to be like, oh, I got to go graph for brush. I found 3 brush piles in the ride around. They're in one of them. Now I got to go grab some more and hope I have enough stuff that I can run isolated cover. You're not going to be able to compete with the guy that can run around the corner. There's a dock. There's a lay down. There's this. There's that. Hey, you can throw a buzzbait out the back. I'll flip this. I'll do that. Or, hey, you jump in the front, throw a buzzbait. I'll flip behind you. It's just harder to compete that way. So it sort of has a good best of both worlds to be able to utilize the technology even at the fullest of its extent, but you don't know anything about the body of water. You can't practice. You don't know anything what's going on. So I think it does end up working out fairly well. And it is one unit, but the biggest key in the whole thing is having both guys fully engaged on what's happening and their minds fully engaged.
Yeah, you get a teammate, though, to where you're not giving up the juice to a quarter of your field because you're fishing with a different guy each team series event. You know that it's just you at MDJ who you trust, you room together, you roll, you're in the same group. Like you get in the boat with someone who you like, who could be the greatest person on earth, but you know that in the next week, there's something that you could show him this week that he could kick your ass on the following week. And then you get this weird dynamic of like, well, how many of the tricks of trade am I going to actually give up? 100%. Or am I going to let this guy just say, okay, like I could have caught 5 there, but he'll be able to catch 5 there if I say, hey, turn around and do this. It's very interesting. I like it.
Now more than ever, I think you look at like the smallest minute details making more of a difference, from bait and tackle to like rigging to how you work your bait to generate more bites than the next guy. And so those little subtle differences, you want to make sure you're in the boat with someone you can trust for sure. But inadvertently, what happens when you talk about that stuff, you don't realize you're giving it up to anybody anyway. They're all live because you only have 4 cameras on. So
but it doesn't matter though. You're worried about the guy beating you the next week. You're not worried about, Jim in Tuscaloosa who's going to go smoke his Wednesday nighter with it.
No, you're not worried. You're not worried about that. You're just, but it's good. Like you get better information. I try to give up as much as I possibly can when I'm on the water because I realize it's so important to teach. Right. But I think what I'm saying, and I'm more so talking about so many other anglers, sometimes they're very reserved and they don't want to talk about that. So you get to hear their perspective on things. And that is, it is a different dynamic. I mean, I was glad, Mark was able to talk through sort of like that last bit, I didn't mean to hijack the show and be like, hey, Mark, do this, but
no, I've been talking way too much this show.
That was a moment that I just felt like was such a impactful moment. And like, you get back, you get down. I think the team aspect of it, like, look, I had a different opinion when Mark said something. I'm like, you know what? You're 100% right. I thought we should have done something different. I'm like, you know what? When he said it, I'm like, you're 100% right. We need to. But it's like you get in those moments when you're down or you're just a little bit down. You're like, do we want to go here? Do we want to go there? And it's like having both anglers just constantly processing the information is really, truly important.
One more real quick thing that I do want to get in with you. You good with that?
Yeah.
Is speaking on the lines of team stuff is the Team USA victory in South Africa and the Black Bass World Championships. You guys had the fewest penalty points and another come from behind victory after Italy. See, I followed it after Italy led for the first 2 days. Drew Gill won the whole thing. The dream team that was set up of Jacob Wheeler and Kyle Welcher. Now, I know you guys are buddies. You share some of the same sponsors. Kyle just missed the Angler of the Year in the MPFL this year by a single point. He won it the previous year. He won the Bassmaster Angler of the year before that. What was it like fishing for Team USA with Kyle Welcher, and what was that dynamic like? Because the surface, to me, as someone who covers this sport, who knows both of you, I'm like, dude, like that had to be a real interesting dynamic because you guys are definitely both alphas in the boat.
Yeah, I think it was figuring out how to work the best way together. It's like you're figuring out, like, I would say Kyle and I work well together. I think we worked well together. We talked through things, and it's just figuring out it's not one, it's one way or the highway scenario. It was like, it's trying to get that mindset together. It is really of breaking down the body of water. It was helpful to go out and practice together and figure it out. We didn't have the first couple of days. We didn't have the best days on the water. We were consistent. We ended up, I think, maybe like top 5 or 6 individual teams in the competition, but we slowly, surely got better. But to be able to compete in that event, it's an event to me that it's something that I do that ends up costing me thousands of dollars, throughout expenses and this and that. You don't get all your expenses paid a lot of times. And it's something that is important to me because I feel like you have an opportunity to branch the sport of bass fishing out further. And to be able to do that with guys from Bass, MLF, in another country, in South Africa, 17-hour flight or a 16.5-hour flight, to be able to do all of that, it's something that to me is a huge part of like trying to push that sport in a different direction. And it was awesome to be able to come back from anglers that like come back from Italy, where Italy took the lead. They had crazy first couple of days, and be able to come back and all of us to be able to compete at a high level that final day and win. You don't take the gold for granted. Like last year, we didn't even podium. This year, going out there and being able to consistently, fish well together as a full team, work together well as a team, and bring home the gold was really important.
Now, after you guys sucked last year, we had to get it back on track in the Pan Am games. Jacob. So
I was appreciative.
We got that train back on the tracks for you right there, so you guys could take it into the World
Championship. Thank you, man. You and Upshaw had a real
called up and said, hey, we got to bring in the big guns here. Wheeler just couldn't get the job done last year.
Gosh, dang. That was a really cool event that you guys caught some really big ones though, too, down there.
Yeah, no, it was giant. This is headed to Hot Springs. I was at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. I talked to Kevin Van Dam. He was the captain of the team. I talked to Charlie Evans, like hey, Charlie Evans on the stage here. And now the Paw Patrol dude, like the Charlie Evans who's been around for forever, who was the host of FLW Outdoors, iconic, and then fish. Now he still fishes, does a lot behind the scenes. There's another dude who I haven't met who does a ton with the USA Bass too, that I always leave out.
John Knight does a lot.
John Knight is who it is that I don't mean to.
Does a lot
and
as well.
Mark Schlarb did a ton. He passed away a month after the Pan Am games. Definitely want to still talk about how impactful he has been for Team USA.
100%.
Going to Hot Springs this year, we're just solving all the fishing problems in the world right now, Jacob. What has to happen for the hundreds of people watching this live right now to care about that event in Hot Springs, Arkansas next year? Like they care about the Bassmaster Classic, like they care about a Red Crest, like they care about key tournaments to where they go, I want to go to that. I want to support Team USA Bass. I want to wear that hat. I want to follow that tournament. Because right now, it's like this much of the pie of people that even know what's going on, and that's the honest truth.
No, I 100% agree. That's the challenge every single year. You have to ask yourself that, and talking to John and talking to Tony and talking to Kevin, trying to go through a lot of that and trying to understand like what we have to do. And I think the biggest thing to me, the number one thing, is every other country has to really care and bring their top guys. So you're going to have
Canada,
to have
Japan.
Yeah.
He's talking to you.
If Japan and Canada, if you have Carl compete for Australia, which he was supposed to be there competing. Mm-hmm. If you have the top Japanese anglers competing, I know exactly. He was fun. But even like having Tommy's a great angler, and having a lot of those anglers over that I've met, they're phenomenal anglers. They just don't have the name necessarily, so you just don't know them necessarily. They're phenomenal anglers. You just don't necessarily know their name off the top of your hat. But to me, definitely Canada and Japan really making a step in the right direction. Having some of those like Cooper Gallant, Gussie has competed in Pan Am. The Johnstons, obviously. I mean, if everybody starts to really care about representing their country, just like a Canada versus the U.S. in hockey, if you have that moment, it would be insane. And it's going to be really hard competition. And it's not about the money. It's about the pride for your country. It's about representing your country and saying we can do it the best because we do it this way. And so I think if you have a Taku, if you have a Fujita, if you had a Takahiro Omori, if you had those guys and you have a full team of your top Japanese anglers, that's what's going to need to happen. That is the number one thing that is missing right now. Italy has some of the most talented anglers in this sport, and they did, and they're very talented, and they catch them.
Yeah,
and if you don't know them, they catch them big time.
Mexico's got them. I feel Mexico brings their best every time.
Absolutely, they do. South Africa has some phenomenal teams. I mean, you just
need a
have
Koya,
to
a Taku, a Marizo. Like that's half of the Japanese team right there.
Takahiro Omori would be unbelievable in that scenario. So you have a guy
Takahiro,
you pair Takahiro and Fujita and say, yo, where I'm going shallow. No, we're gonna go out offshore. No, we're going shallow. Like you're gonna have the best of both worlds.
A Wheeler and a Welch are going against a Taku and a Koya and the Johnston brothers and that, and they're all on the water on the same time.
It would be an absolute battle, and it was a battle this year. It would be an absolute battle, and I think that is the one thing. If we can get that pulled off next year, you're going to see this event go to the next level.
It's because each country does their qualifications differently. Like I know Canada does some tournaments where you can qualify through it. USA, like the Pan Am Games was picked, and then some guys backed out, and then it was like a combination. So like I got picked because I was dumb enough to go through all the hoops to take a boat and truck in my name 200 miles into Mexico. And it just so happened that the guys, what? I'm being honest.
And you freaking smashed them.
And it's the guy, it was Andrew Upshaw who was like, hey, that's how I got on there. Qualifying, though, for the U.S., does it need to be Ryder Cup where you have the rankings point system? So we've got to live PGA Tour situation going on here because it's different with the 50 anglers versus the 100. We just went through that with the Ryder Cup. They're still going through it with the majors. I think you do a deal where you have 3 BPT anglers, 3 Bassmaster Elite Series. If you have a 12-man team, let's say it's a 12-man team that gets it, and then you take the 8, that's up to Kevin. Have fun with that one. But you have the 6 that qualify for it. That's through the points. Doesn't matter whether you were last year. If you have a great year, you make the Ryder Cup team, the Team USA. And then you have Kevin and the USA Bass organization that handpick the next 6 additional based on the lake you're going to, the conditions, the teammates that it has, whatever, just like the Ryder Cup. I think that's the most fair, best way to make the team, but it has to be to where all year those standings are on Bassmaster, those standings are on MLF. We're talking about those standings on BTL. You're doing interviews saying, you got guys doing interviews saying, dude, it's my chance to make Team USA this year for the World Championships. I got to catch him in the last one to move into that top 3. That's the way I see it working. And then somehow getting the other countries to standardize theirs to where they're also bringing the best anglers too through that.
But I definitely agree you're on the right track because it needs a little bit of that. It needs a little bit of that qualification aspect, but it also comes down to the fact of who you fish in the best in the boat together, right? You know, and I know it's figuring out. That's why Kevin picks hand selected certain guys because like they're like, hey, like this guy works together with that guy, and like Kevin and I talked pretty extensively about the team and what we need and what might work and what might not. And so that was something that you just never know. I mean, you look at some of the team, like, Team USA, from the basketball perspective, those are handpicked and selected, and the guys who are going to play and who they aren't going to play because the coach is looking at it and saying, this team works the best together. This crew, this is the A team, this is the B team, so on and so forth. So figuring that out, I mean, obviously that first step, if we can get the support from Canada, if we can get the support from Japan, if we can get everybody to take this seriously, that's going to step the game up, and then you move forward. I think you go ahead.
And Canada does. They were great. I loved hanging out with Canada at the Pan Am Games. Like, more power to them. They were all extremely talented anglers. I mean, dude, there was a guy who towed his boat 43 hours, and it was a single axle from Canada, like in Canada, all the way through a border, all the way through another border, then down, fish, then back through another border, all the way through the United States, back through another border, and then all the way through Canada to compete for his country. That's badass.
That's unbelievable.
People ask about money. They say about money. Here's where the money comes. The money comes with eyeballs. The money comes with impressions. If the companies know that there's 30,000 American bass anglers that are following this, that there's 10,000 people that are showing up in Hot Springs for it, that is how it starts. That's why you have the corporate sponsorship in the Bassmaster Classic. That's why you have it, because they know the eyeballs are on it. Once 100%. The eyeballs are on it, the money comes after that.
Yep. You have to, the proof is in the pudding. You just show what you can do. Exactly right. I think, and there's some things like, having it here, because it is under a different organization, the FIPSA organization. They have a lot of unique rules, and there's some things that we've tried to work with them on to try to make sure that all works out. But I mean, they have, like, I think their World Games next year, not next year, but the following year, it's in South Africa again in February, and it's like everything fishing. It's offshore, like a big boat, like marlin fishing. It's, bank fishing, it's kayak fishing, it's everything. It's like a big giant fishing event. Street fishing, it's like a big giant fishing event that there's so many different competitions. Like bass fishing is just one part of that, of what you guys are competing for, your country on that and that part. So youth fishing. So there's a lot to that. There's a lot more than just professional anglers competing in bass boats. It's a bigger push to try to make fishing a bigger thing all the way across the world.
I've made a push. Bassmaster needs to cover this on their website full out. They need to dedicate resources to it. MLF needs to cover this full out. They need to dedicate their resources to it. They need to highlight their anglers that are in it. They need to highlight the entire thing. That's how you get eyeballs on it.
That's a really good start. I agree. No, I definitely agree. And it helps the social media aspect from like having Scott do his thing on YouTube, having YouTube. There's having eyeballs on it. That's where the eyeballs have come from to this point. But that's everybody else taking up the reins and trying to really show what's going on. It's hard when you're trying to show and tell the story of what's happening in South Africa when you're in completely different time zones and dropping and there's penalty points and you're trying to explain all that. There's room for it. I think that's the one thing that's missing in the sport more than anything. I mean, the Team Series thing is unbelievable, but if we can get this thing figured out, I think there's so many more opportunities for the eyeballs on the sport. When people really care about their country and representing their country, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And it is an honor to be a part of Team USA, to compete with those guys it feels so it feels so much more of an accomplishment going out there and competing with those guys, bringing home a gold medal, fishing against, all these guys, passionate anglers from all the other different countries, and competing head to head against them and coming out on top. It has a completely different vibe than hoisting a trophy for your own personal, gain, cashing a check. That's cool. But there's something so rewarding about flying somewhere and doing it exclusively for the passion, for the sport and the passion to promote bass fishing, and also representing your country and being able to do that. There's not another feeling like it. There's not. And if everybody felt that, it's like, ooh, it would be really something.
I'll tell you, there's no way that they fully appreciate it now, but Drew Gill and Logan Parks, when you spend time around Scott Martin and see how hard he works at his business, the YouTube, it's 20 hours a day. I mean, I went to Africa. I was like, dude, what is up with this guy? Like, he's out there with the light on, and he's got a 22-year-old camera guy falling asleep, and he's working. You look at how hard you work. You look at what Kyle Welcher has done, and then what Ott Defoe has done with having a young family since the time he was 11. And now, now they're all for an example on that, those guys are going to look back and see how it is that week. And I had Drew on and stuff like that. And they were we wanted to see a zebra, and Jacob and Kyle were like, screw zebras. We can fish for an extra 17 minutes if we don't see the zebra. And they were like, yeah, we kind of felt bad because they were so insanely dialed in on their one mission, like a Kobe type deal in the Olympics, but they were also but we also really wanted to see a zebra. So. I
know. That's how they look at it. I know. I was like, we actually burned up our batteries on our boat, and I'm like, we ended up jumping in their boat and taking their boat after they left to grab their bat, because I was like, we have 2 more hours. We got to go make sure there's not something else going on. I'll tell you this: if they ever experience flying to another country and the disappointment of not getting on the podium and not competing at the top level, you'd have a different mindset. You go there for one reason. And it's you can do that before the event, you can do that after the event. But in my mind, there's one reason you're here, and your goal is to get every ounce of dialed in, every ounce of time out there on the water that you can to dial yourself in. That's how Welcher and I were like, no, we're going.
All right. Anything else you want to dive into? I think we've covered a plethora of different topics. I've talked way too much. I'll have 30 comments about you had the number one angler on and you wouldn't shut the hell up. I apologize for that. If I talk too much, I get passionate.
You did not. You got passionate. It was good. It was a good combination of several different things, man. Obviously, I always appreciate hopping on and talking with you, man.
The MVJ element was badass.
It was good. And Mark's unbelievable.
Get him on more. Like I said, I didn't have his number. There's anglers that like Andy Morgan's another one. I tried to get him on last year. He was like, sorry, I have birds to kill. And then I never followed up on it. There's a bunch of different guys like that I need to get on. But also talk to the number one guys and the guys that have done it. So congratulations on the Suzuki deal. Sounds like a long-term partnership. Sounds like they're in good hands and you're in good hands with it on the back of your icon. Anything else that guys need to be looking out for, watching out for?
I was going to tell you one other thing because I didn't get to dive into this last week. So Icon put on this tournament. It's really, really cool. So they had an Icon tailgate tour where it's like called like the grassroots program. So there was 4 qualifying events. Okay. If you get a top 5 in any of the qualifying events, you qualify for this championship. It was at Dale Hollow. 20 anglers qualify for the championship. First place in the championship gets a brand new boat, a brand new VLX 20. Brand new boat. So you have 1 in 20 shot. So they had this idea. That they were like, hey, we're going to do this side pot thing where, not a side pot, basically a bonus. If you beat, if there's 28, one of these 20 anglers, if they win the boat, whoever wins the boat, if they beat your weight and Hunter's weight together, basically we're fishing together, they win an extra $10,000. So I just competed at Dale Hollow last weekend for 0 money, but for my pride. And so a young angler, Levi, and the other young angler's name from Murray State won a boat.
Oh, wow.
VLX 20. So congratulations to those boys. They
was that like $190,000 boat?
It's VLX. I'm actually in a VLX 20s probably. So base price on a VLX 20 is probably like low 70s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
70s, but like, you know,
that's a hell of a boat.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably that package probably cost, I don't know, probably 80 grand. I would just say 80 some, 85.
Yeah. Did they get the 10K?
They did not.
Oh, that's savage.
We actually got. I told the guys at Icon, I said, don't do that to me again, please. I was running around like a madman. I'm like,
you all did the battery deal. I was busted Justin Lucas's chops so bad on that. I'm like, you're not going to let him beat you from the bank and in a boat, are you? I was like, dude,
he was so mad. Hey, listen, Lucas can catch them suckers from the bank good. He's good at it.
I know.
He's really actually good at it. He casts his drop shot around. I'm like, what'd you catch that big one on? Oh, I got him on a drop shot. I was casting off the brake line.
So you did that. What was that? What was that called? Like the Battle of the Bank or something?
The bank battle at Miller Tech Bank Battle or something.
So you did the Miller Tech Bank Battle. You did the Icon Tailgate Tour. You did the Team USA Bass Fishing.
Yep.
And you did the MLF Team Series.
Yep. I've been nonstop this fall. My wife's ready to like sell all my fishing stuff. She's like, we got to like have a point in time where I can actually take a break. October is going to be a little bit better for me, but it has been a crazy September and even August. Typically it sort of slows down, but it's not.
I would say this: for decades, this was the time of the year where you do the media events, and it would be one media event after another media event after another media event. Still a very important aspect of the game to get the grip and grins, to meet with the media, to do all of that type of stuff. But I would think from your perspective, it's got to be way more fun to go do this stuff than to be booked out for 4 days to go out with different riders in 3-hour blocks.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy talking to the media, and I enjoy working with videographers and photographers as well. Like, it's just a different thing. Like, I had a cast and blast that I was supposed to be out last week for Academy. I was supposed to be there, and then I ended up having a conflict. But it's just, it is fun to fish these events. But there's a point in time that you need to recharge your batteries, and a lot of times it's just going fun fishing does that for me. So whether a lot of people they go out there and they go hunting to recharge their batteries in the fall. To me, it's just like I took my little boy and my little girl, Hudson and Olivia, last night fishing out here on Chickamauga. Went out for an hour and a half. Like, it just recharges your batteries to go out there. There's no pressure. There's no money on the line. There's no, you're just having a fun time. And so you need a couple months of that to where when you get back into it, like, I love competing more than anybody. I mean, you ask MDJ or Dustin or anybody that knows me well, like, I'll put $1 up against anybody for anything. It doesn't matter. I'm horrible at a lot of stuff, but I love competing. But there is a time that you need to step away from that to sort of recharge your batteries, and time is coming eventually, but we have a couple more events left.
All right. I'm going to end this. This will be the last thing that you say. So you have one more, you're going to say one more word on BTL, and it's either going to be yes or it's going to be no. This came up. I had Mark Jeffries on. Oh, that's such a rookie move. I had Mark Jeffries on last week, and this came up. And it's a yes or no question. In the next 3 years, will there be a Netflix streaming service style multi-part documentary similar to Full Swing or Formula One or The Chase with NASCAR that goes out on a massive, on like a Netflix or a big streaming service platform? I'll give you 5 years, not 3, 5, that deals with professional bass fishing. Yes or no question?
I would say yes. I think it's a very interesting thing to follow. There's a lot of things going on in the sport. I think it would be pretty. I mean, I can think of like a Rob Newell right now, talking through some of the things and the struggles of the sport and the ups and the downs and sort of talking through some of that stuff. I love a Full Swing. I love watching those Ride to Survive. Those are unbelievable documentary series. I think it will be. Yes, that's my answer to it.
That's your one-word answer to it?
That was my one-word answer.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate it. Always appreciate you giving me the time. All right, the one and only Jacob Wheeler. That's fantastic. We're going to take a break. We're going to unpack. We covered a ton of topics today. We'll be back to close things out on a Wednesday right after this Bass Talk Live, kicking off the month of October.
I fish in some of the worst elements across the country. Spring.
That's a giant, dude.
Summer.
Oh my gosh. Hi. Look at that thing.
Winter.
It's so cold.
And fall.
Got it.
Big one. That's awesome.
Being comfortable and staying dry is the only option.
AFCO. Any fish, any water.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook.
World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
We're wrapping things up. Well, we're not, because we still got a bunch of stuff to talk about here. But we're kind of wrapping things up. BTL on a Wednesday. Big shout out to Jacob Wheeler. Shout out to Mark Dennis Jr. Holding off some family stuff to jump on to talk about their big team series win. Wheeler talking about his big move to Suzuki. Then we got into a bunch of other stuff after that. All right, here's what we got coming up. Here's what we got coming up in the month of October. CTL Crappie Talk Live, presented by One Standard, will launch in the middle of the month. I'm working with Zeke Anderson, big into crappie. We have several sponsors on board with that too. This is a if you don't want to watch, you don't have to. It's not like we're replacing BTO. It's just during that fall and winter of the tournament, I get a lot of questions and people who are like, dude, how are you doing that with the long pole? I want to catch crappie. I'm not a huge deer hunter. I want to fill the freezer. I want a trophy, fish for the trophies and release them. So I said, hey, let's do an 8-part series, and let's bring in some of the best bass fishermen who also crappie fish. Maybe a Matt Adams on Gunnersville, maybe a Jeremy Lawyer on Table Rock or Lake of the Ozarks, some stuff here, maybe a Kevin Rogers in Oklahoma. And it's really dialed towards the guys who are like, yeah, I crappie fish, but there's some really cool new stuff, both forward-facing, not forward-facing. And we're going to bring Zeke in, and we're just going to break it down. It's going to be a mix between a day 4 and a BTL, but it has nothing to do with crappie tournaments or anything. It's timber, brush piles, keepers, giants, live bait, scoping, long rods, short rods, muddy water, clean water, kind of all across that southern part of the United States, obviously not dealing with ice fishing. And we're going to bring in bass fishermen who can talk to bass fishermen to explain the joys of crappie fishing and a number of different topics. So that is going to be the middle of October 15th, that is going to launch. In conjunction, there's a show out there with Tom Brubaker and Fishing Chaos with the BTL for St. Jude Fishing Chaos 6-month-long online tournament. Now, to understand this, you kind of have to go watch it. It took me an hour to fully understand the details. I fished the Scott Martin one for $20 and jumped in, measured my fish, put it in. I said, I see this. Fishing Chaos jumped on as a sponsor for the 2026 season. They agreed to run the tournaments on the back end, the BTL for St. Jude tournaments. I don't make a dime off of this. 100% of the entry fees goes to St. Jude, funneled through the Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic. So it is earmarked as money that comes from the bass fishing industry for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The way that works, you can go watch the whole hour long, is you'd have been hard pressed to convince me to sign up for an online bass fishing tournament and measure bass. It's just the way it is. Grew up, you throw them in a box, you go in, you weigh them, people see them. Not to mention a tournament that lasts 3 weeks. But like I said, I signed up for the Scott Martin thing. You get an app on your phone, the Fishing Chaos app, paid my $20, went out on the lake, make sure I had a 25-inch bump board that's certified, caught fish, measured them, hit one button, submitted it. And then I found myself, I said, dude, this is freaking cool. It's a community. You're always checking the standings. I was in the central region. So for this tournament, we're going to have the North region, the central region, the Big Four, which is Florida, Texas, California, and Mexico. I'm trying to do this all without notes in front of me here, so bear with me. Wasn't even planning on talking about it, but now I think it's a good time because I saw Chuck Fish, a couple other guys answered it. So I talked with Tom, and he said, hey, we're working on trying to get more people signed up and trying this in the bass fishing community, the Fishing Cast. They've done some insane, like 500,000 fish registered. They're well known. A lot of kayak apps use them. A lot of the Bass Nation stuff use them as the back end for the tournament support and in-person tournaments. So I said, what if instead of, in addition to just, buying a t-shirt to supporting St. Jude, which we've raised, BTL and St. Jude's raised over $97,000 in the past 4 years with St. Jude. It's fantastic. Couldn't be more proud of it. Kind of has given me a little bit of a purpose, I guess, in doing this. And then obviously with what happened with Miles Riley and his family, kind of drove the point home. But it's like a little side project, passion project. So I worked with Gretchen from St. Jude, Tom from Fishing Chaos, the BTL community. And I said, we've got hundreds of people who donate 20, 30, 40,000. But what if we brought it together and we ran a Fishing Chaos tournament, an online tournament for a lot of guys who've never fished an online tournament. But regardless of whether you pay your entry fee and you submit 100 fish or whatever, you submit one fish, you join it in the last week, you join in the first week, 100% of that goes to St. Jude. So I reached out to the sponsors of BTL, the Strike Kings and Omnia Fishing and Sunline and AFCO. And they said, yeah, we're on board on this. We will donate the prizes for this, the high-end prizes. It'll be at the end of the year. But this is where it gets a little tricky. It's not like you just sign up and do it. So, and this is where you need to go back and watch the show with Tom. So here's how it works. So it starts October 15th. It runs through April 15th. That's the basic crux of it. You have official bump boards. Like I've got a golden rule. There's gator boards. There's catch boards. It'll be out in the rules. The rules are not out right now for it. But it'll be out on Fishing Chaos. You go out, you download the app, you pay your $40. You know that 100% of that, you'll be able to see that gets donated directly to St. Jude. So you're not in this anything. No one is making money off of this except you, potentially. So from October 15th to April 15th, your 5 longest bass, smallmouth, spotted, largemouth, will be split into the 3 divisions: the Northern Division, the Central Division, and the Big Four. So there'll be a grand prize winner in each one of that, whether it's 115 inches, 120 inches, 110 inches. Like I did the Scott Martin thing, I ended up with 105.5 inches. I put the fish on the scales. Weight doesn't mean anything. Roughly a 26-pound limit, 26, 27-pound limit. But I amassed that over the 3 weeks. It was like September 3rd or something through September 25th was my time slot on it. So like sometimes I would go out and I would catch 2. It automatically culls for you. You take the picture, it uploads, it shows it's a success. I had never done it. Within 3 fish, I was super comfortable with it. So that's the overall running tournament. This is where it gets really cool though. So what Fishing Chaos is able to do is able to run tournaments within tournaments. So at no additional cost, each division also runs a tournament every 30 days. This is for the BTL stuff. So like October 15th through November 15th, if you're one of the top 5 anglers in either the Northern Division, the Central Division, or the Big Four, then you get another prize for BTO, which will be mailed out. It's, whether it's a new AFCO hat, or whether it's a credit at Omnia Fishing, or whether it's a rod from Denali or something like that. So you have a chance to win monthly. Now the month resets every month. But your fish, your top 5. So if you catch 123 incher during the first month, if you catch one too, you're culling out all the way down, but there's tournaments within tournaments. So once you win one for your Central Division, let's say you got some dude, like I saw some dude in Tennessee, like 125 inches, you win that. So you've got a chance to win, even if you don't win the overall every single month. Then, and I'll just briefly touch on this. We'll do it more on March 15th to April 15th for the final push. There's a team series. There's a team element to this for an additional $20 that once again all goes to St. Jude. And there's some really premium prizes in this, and you'll have the opportunity to join your team, whether it's Team Scalish or whether it's Team BTL and Matt, or what, I'm bringing a lot of people in the fishing community in to be a part of this final 30 days. So the goal is, if you're not comfortable with it, if you've never tried it, you're going to say, screw it. It's for a good cause. I want to be a part of this community, have a chance to win some prizes on the end, donate to St. Jude, get out and fish. I understand for the North, there's not a lot of time. There's some seasons that are closed, or some seasons that are not. Complete side note, we will be having a one fish, big fish crappie that will 100% also go to St. Jude. And you, as long as you're on a public body of water, you can submit bass that are caught through the ice. This is not an open water only. So if you've got a hammer hole for 23-inch smallmouth up north, you can catch those fish through the ice and submit them on Fishing Chaos. It's bank, kayak, john boat. The only factor is it has to be measured correctly. It has to be caught from a public body of water, so you're not fishing against guys that are in the ponds. I'm really excited to see how this goes. I'm really hopeful that a lot of the guys who were like me, who saw online tournaments before and went, not my vibe, I don't understand it, I'm that, to jump in and try this, I was genuinely shocked and surprised, because I was not going to do this unless I did it without anybody knowing, signed up for an online tournament with my personal credit card, paid the entry fee, competed just like everyone else, and it came away with it going, dude, this is an awesome opportunity to raise money for St. Jude, to build the BTL community, and to come together. I can see it being a big player in the future. So that's the soapbox. There'll be a lot more information that are out on about this, but you can join for free. You can just download the app, the Fishing Chaos app. And once you have all your information, you don't have anything, there's a community tab. You click on the community tab on the side and scroll down, and it'll show all the things that Tyler's Real Fishing has one, Scott has one, Bill Dance has one, a bunch of other tournament organizations have one. There's one that says BTL. You just join that. Whenever new information, whenever the stuff comes out in the upcoming weeks, you'll be able to see it there. And here's the other thing. It's not like you have to sign up on the first day. It would be awesome. Yeah, you can. You get the maximum. But like you can sign up in October, or November, or December, or January, or February, or March, all the way up into it. It's just your 5 biggest fish over those times. So you might miss out on one of the little tournaments within the tournaments. But as a whole, looking to raise as much money as we can. 100% of those proceeds go to St. Jude. Brew Breaker threw out the 100,000 mark. I ran some math. I think it's far-fetched, but I also think it might be doable, which would be awesome if we did 100,000 for the BTL. All the logistics questions of measuring boards and service and all that, that's all on the Fishing Chaos. That'll all be in the rules. But as a whole, it's fantastic. Last year, one of the most cool things, I know I've been on way too long. It's an hour and 51, and I just said most cool things. One of the coolest things I did was the In Fisherman Master Angler Challenge with Matt Stephanie. He came to Oklahoma for 4 days, took him to all the little secret big fish holes, tried to catch master angler size hybrid striper at Grand Lake. We went down to Texas to try to catch a 10-pound largemouth. We ended up catching 15.5-inch master angler crappie here in Oklahoma. We had so much fun in there, so much feedback from that. So we do live BTLs every night from the Master Angler Quest. We fish 15 hours a day. We travel thousands of miles. We do it. We decided we're doing it again this year. And that starts on Sunday. This Sunday, I'm headed up to Matt's house in Wisconsin. I'm jumping in his boat. I'm using his stuff. He's taking me to his lakes. We're going after smallmouth. We're going after pike. We're going after muskie, maybe perch. We're definitely going after a 30-inch walleye. We're trying to get as many master angler species on the board. Matt's going to have the cameras rolling 100% of the time. You can watch the day's action on his YouTube channel in an edited video. And then that night, we're going to talk about it live in a BTL takes over Matt Steffen Fishing Studio. So the BTLs will not be regular next week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're fishing 4 days. But every night we will have BTLs, and every day Matt Steffen will be dropping a video, and we'll be showing video clips about that. So that's what we have also going on that. So we're launching CTL middle of the month, the Fishing Chaos BTL Master Angler with Matt Steffen. Also, if you ordered BTL merchandise, and it said it on there, and I said it, but I understand you order it, you want it the next 2 days. The way that it worked when that store closed on the 21st was the way I was able to work with the printing company was keep it open. It says it on there, it said it, but just in case you were wondering if you'd ordered some day 4 merch, some BTL merch, had a really good response to the BTL sales this year. Cannot thank you enough. Frank cannot thank you guys enough for that. We just want to provide something that you guys want to wear. Can't appreciate the support of BTL enough, but those should be shipping from what I believe very soon this week, if not early next week, as they're running all of the clothing for the BTL merch drop. Once that's out, once I know that's out, I'll probably be running a giveaway for you showing your biggest fish on social media wearing BTL stuff. 2 shows tomorrow. Yeah, I had a lot to talk about. 2 shows tomorrow. You do not want to miss day 4 with Frank Scalish tomorrow. We will be going over the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame way more in depth than you thought. I'll just do a little sneak peek. Like, this is how cool it was. This is the official Bass Fishing 2025 Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Randy Hopper, Craig Lamb, William Shakespeare. You go right in the middle and open it up. And if you guys are a fan of day 4, I mean, he got his own page in it. And there was some pretty funny stuff that went down during it. So we will have video footage from that. Frank will be on from that. And then immediately following that, Matt Steffen will be on to where we will kind of break down our Master Angler Quest, kind of where we're targeting, what his thoughts are, where we have weak points. If you're in that Wisconsin, southern Minnesota area, you know, and you're like, hey, you know, 16-inch perch all the time out of this public body of water and stuff, let us know. So I need to cue some music up. And thank Mark Daniels Jr. and Jacob Wheeler. A lot more than just him announcing a title sponsorship with the new motor company, Suzuki. But that's good. That's money into the industry. That's support into the industry. So I've known Rojas for a long time, and behind the scenes, behind closed doors, dude loves a Suzuki. He really does. He's like, dude, it's a freaking awesome. So that was another edition of BTL. Same time, same place tomorrow. We'll talk to everyone then. See ya.